Hello, LW 222 Science of Nutrition and Exercise students. This is going to be just a brief video explaining how to do your personal dietary analysis. So if you go to the course site and you look under week 3, you'll see these first 4 links are all what you're going to need to read through to complete this personal dietary analysis. So the very first link is just the instructions. So what I've done is I've provided step-by-step instructions, if you open that up, on exactly what you're going to be doing. So I put it into really a 4-step process. So the first step is you need to record your food intake. So what I'd like you to do is for 3 consecutive days, you're going to be recording everything you eat and drink. Now, for those 3 days, I would like them to be 2 weekdays and 1 weekend day. So that means you're either going to do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now, when you do this, I want you to be open and honest. This can be a very valuable learning experience for you, but you have to write every single thing down. If you're leaving things out, it's not going to give you a true, accurate picture of what your dietary pattern looks like. So if you want to learn from this experience and make, some necessary changes in your dietary pattern, you have to be honest and don't worry about me and what I might think, regarding what you're writing down. That is all, it is all about you and you learning from this. So please keep that in mind as you proceed with this. Now, as far as recording your food intake, I have provided logs. So if you look right here, this link right here is going to take you to your personal diet analysis logs. So here, here's the logs. So the very first page is what we call the totals page. So you're not going to be able to complete that until you're totally finished with filling in your food logs. So here you can see day 1. You're going to be writing down the specific food item that you had, what food group it came from. Now you would write like a F for fruit, or a V for veggie, or a G for grain, for example. How much of it you had. Now be very specific about your serving amounts, and then you're going to record fiber, carb, fat, and protein grams. So you have day 1, day 2, and day 3. So you'll be able to just type everything right into these food logs, okay? So that's the first step, is actually recording everything you eat and drink. Now here under step 1 in my instructions, I've just given you a little more detail on, how to record as far as that goes. And then also, be careful about servings. So for example, I said here, if you eat a whole bag of Doritos, please note that, there's more than 1 serving in that big grab bag of Doritos. There might be 3 to 4 servings in it, so you would have to multiply everything by that number of servings. So for example, if it said there's 5 grams of fat per serving, but you had all 3 servings, that means you would have had 15 grams of fat, so 5 times the 3 servings. So keep that in mind when you're recording, the carb, protein, fat, fiber, grams for all of your foods. So step 1 is fairly simple. It's just you sitting down and taking the time to record your foods. If you have a hard time remembering, what you ate, I would suggest writing it down as you go through the day. Or maybe you're pretty good at sitting down at the, right before bed and going and logging everything in that you had, starting from breakfast and on. Don't wait until the 3rd day, and say, oh, I got to think back to what I ate 2 or 3 days ago. That's really hard to remember, and that's when you're more apt to leave things out. So my suggestion is to write it down as you go throughout the day, or even sit down that night before you go to bed and go back and recall everything you had for that particular day. That way you'll be sure to get everything. And that includes even taste testing things, right? If you're walking by and someone in your house is making, some chocolate chip cookies and you grab a handful of cookie dough, you have to record that, right? So taste testing, or just handfuls of things as you're walking by, a candy dish, for example, you have to record that. Alcoholic beverages, all of that stuff, juices, liquids, things like that, that all needs to be recorded. So that's step 1, recording your food intake. So please be open and honest when you do that. Step 2 is doing the math. This is where the calculations come into play. So if we look back to chapter 8 in your book kind of went through how to do these calculations. So I also here just gave you an example of how to change fat into calories, how to change protein grams into calories, and how to change carbohydrate grams into calories. So remember, protein and carbs contain 4 calories per gram, so you simply multiply the grams by 4, and that will change those into calories. For fat, fat has 9 calories per gram, so we're multiplying fat grams by 9. So this changes grams into calories. Then if you add these 3 numbers in red together, you'll get your total calories for that particular meal. But in your case, you're going to be doing it for an entire day. So if I go back to my food log here, and you have day 1 complete, what you're just going to do is add up how many grams of carbs, fat, and protein you had. Okay? Then you're going to change those grams into calories. Add those 3 calories together, and that will give you the total calories you had for that particular day. So then you would just jot that down up here under the totals page, page 1 of your food logs. So if I go back and I totaled up my fiber grams for day 1, I'm going to record it here. Carb and fat, okay, and protein. And then I'm going to record what percentage of my total calories came from carb, fat, and protein. Now, how do you get the percentages? Well, if I go back to my instructions, I have showed you here calculating percentages of carbs, protein, and fat. So basically, you're taking your carb calories and you're dividing it by the total calories. Okay, multiply that answer by 100 and you get your percentage. Same thing for fat and same thing for protein. You're simply taking those calories and dividing it by the total calories for that particular day, whatever they were. So that's going to give you your 3 percentages. Okay, so now you're going to record all of that on your totals page. Okay, so make sure you're not only filling out your food logs for each day, but you're totaling up everything for each day and recording it here. So at a glance, I can just look at all these numbers for your day 1, day 2, and day 3 and see how you're doing overall. Okay, so that's how you're going to fill out your food logs, and that's how you're going to do your numbers or your calculations. Okay, so once you're done with those first 2 steps, I've also provided some helpful websites here. If you don't have a nutrition facts panel at home and you're not sure how many calories and what the nutritive data of the food that you're eating is, you can actually use some different websites. Google it, nutrition facts of, and you're going to be able to find it there. So it's fairly easy to find the nutrition facts of, different food items. You just might have to search for it a little bit. Once you're done recording your foods and doing your calculations, then you're going to move on to step 3, which is doing your computer analysis. Now, by now, you've already had to use diet and wellness in MindTap, okay, because you had to do a couple of assignments already that are called diet and wellness skill building activities. Okay, so you've had a few chapters now that have used that diet and wellness software. So you should be fairly comfortable with using it. But what you're going to do is when you go into diet and wellness, you're going to create that profile first for yourself this time. Okay, you've created profiles for other folks from those particular assignments that were given to you, but now you're creating your own profile. Once you're done creating your profile, you're just going to start tracking your diet. But for yourself, you have 3 days. So you're going to enter everything for day 1. Once you're done entering everything for day 1, then you need to change the date at the top. And once you change the date to the very next day, so say for example, I recorded foods for May 14th, 15th, and 16th. So I would start with the date of May 14th and I'd enter in all my foods. Once I'm done with the 14th, then I'd go back to the top and change the date to May 15th. And once I do that, it's going to be a blank slate. So then I start entering all my foods for May 15th, and then I would do the same thing for May 16th. Once I've entered in all of those foods, then I can start printing off or saving my reports. Now some people like to say, hey, I've made a big pot of something and we just eat leftovers for a few days. You can actually enter a recipe in the database, And here's an example or step-by-step instructions of how to enter that recipe. And then once you've done that, you can go back and say, I had, 1 cup of this or 2 cups of this, and it will calculate the nutritive data of it based on the recipe that you entered and all the ingredients that you have entered. So they do have that. Also, they do have a custom food where if you cannot find your food item in the database, I know the database is very extensive and you should be able to find it. But if for some reason you cannot find it, you can actually enter a custom food where you would just enter that food in yourself. As long as you know the nutritional data of it, you can actually enter in all the nutritional data for carbs, protein, fat, fiber, calories per serving, and create that custom food and save that one, okay, as it'll be on your custom foods list. So if you have an issue like that, just know you can always create that custom food, or you can always enter a recipe as well. As far as reports go, you're going to be doing quite a few different reports. So for this particular assignment, you're going to be getting an intake versus goals report, a macronutrient range report, a my plate analysis report, and a source analysis report. Now note, you're going to actually do 1 report per day and then a 3-day average. So for example, when I want an intake versus goals report, you're going to actually have 4 of those. 1 individual report for each individual day, and then a report that averages the 3 days. For the macronutrient ranges, you're going to do the same thing, 1 for each day and a 3-day average. For the my plate analysis, same thing, 1 for each day and a 3-day average. And then the source analysis is just 1 for each day. So for all the reports, you're really going to have 15 altogether. So you're just going to save those on your computer as a PDF, okay? Or just save those reports because you're going to be uploading them into a document. Now real quick, I just want to show you how to, for MindTap, or for the diet and wellness, I'm going to just open up, okay? I'm going to open up that diet and wellness app and just show you real quick how do I get a 3-day average when I'm doing those reports. So if I go to reports here, say I want to intake versus goals. If I want for the 1 day, I would start on the day that I entered the foods and end on that same day, and I would get my PDF, okay? If I want a 3-day average, I would start on the first day. So let's say the first day was the 19th, and the last day was the 21st. So I'd start on the 19th and end on the 21st, and then that would give me a report for the 3-day average. Okay, so that's how you get a 3-day average report, and that's how you get an individual day report. So again, you can click here to save it as a PDF. That way it's saved on your computer for later use when you need to answer questions and upload it into my document. So that is the reports. Step 4 is to answer questions. So here's the written part. Here's where you really start to tear apart your diet. So I have posed 11 different questions that you're going to type your answers to. Now also I have created a template that you're going to actually be recording all of this information on. So if I go back to week 3 module, bear with me here. Okay, week 3, you'll see complete the personal diet analysis assignment template. So if you open up that template, here you'll be able to type directly into it. So you're going to answer these 11 questions, and I've just given you some pointers as far as how I would like to see you answer those questions. Once you're done answering all of those questions, here it says next, cut and paste your food logs directly into this template. Now remember, I gave you the food logs right here. You've got your totals page, and you've got all 3 days. Okay, so you should have those completely filled in, and once you do, you're going to just cut and paste that right here below all of the answers to your questions. Last, you're going to copy each report from Diet and Wellness directly into this template. So if you've saved those intake versus goals, my plate analysis, all of those 15 reports, you're going to copy them directly into this template right below your food logs. Then you're going to save this entire document. And this is the document you're going to upload into e-learning when you submit your assignment. So as far as submitting the assignment, you're going to submit it right here. Okay, you're going to upload that one single document because everything is entered into that one single document. So, diet analysis, like I said, if you follow your step-by-step instructions on how to do it, that's going to be very helpful. Also, I've provided a rubric. This assignment is worth 55 points, and you can see, the things that I'm looking for when I'm grading this assignment. So make sure you're explaining, when you answer those questions, you're explaining your answers. So for example, the first question asked 3 good dietary habits. If you just said something like, I drink water, I eat breakfast, and I eat a lot of fruit. Okay, you would only get partial credit for that because you didn't explain why. So why is drinking water good for you? How's that a health benefit? Is there a health benefit associated with that? What is it? Why is eating breakfast good for you? So you need to explain each one of those particular answers, okay? So a lot of times students don't get full points for their answers because they didn't do a full explanation of it. So just keep that in mind when you're answering those questions. So in a nutshell, that's a brief explanation of how to do your personal diet analysis. Like I said, it's a great learning experience. If you get stuck along the way, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I can be very helpful, but it is a big assignment and there's a lot to do, so I would suggest getting started on it. And remember, the days you can log are 2 weekdays and 1 weekend day. So you're doing a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, because we want to get a snapshot of your overall diet. Folks tend to eat a little differently on the weekends than they do the weekdays, so we want a good overall picture of your dietary pattern. So have a great day.